Good morning, everybody, and happy Sunday. This is Anne here from the Easing Spirit, and I decided on a topic today that's really resonated with me, which is spiritual self care. But spiritual self care for anxiety. Um, Anxiety is a really debilitating disorder that you can have, and most of the times it is strictly mentally manifested. It's us getting into our head and stressing about something to the point that we literally can take on physical discomfort and a debilitating way of feeling where we can't even step out the front door and interact with other people. And right now, as of 2005, nationally in the United States, from the National Institute of Mental Health, about 19.1% of Americans suffer from anxiety, but that's only the ones that have been reported. There's actually a much larger number than that of people who suffer from it who haven't reported it. And it's more likely to be higher in women than it is in men. Out of that 19%, about 21.4% is women and only about 14.8% is men. But I have suffered from anxiety, oh gosh, probably for my entire life. When I think back and I look back at even when I was a child, I I had such debilitating anxiety at times that it was difficult for me to even process situations that I was in or even interact with people on the outside. Um, uh, Probably in my 30s was when I realized that my anxiety was so bad that I absolutely had to go to the doctor and get it taken care of. And at that time I didn't know of any other way to process the anxiety that I was feeling or to get myself within a better mental state so that I wasn't suffering from it. It's very easy to automatically go to the doctor and hope that they can give us medication to figure it out, but really bottom line, and sometimes that's where you have to start. That's where I had to start, right before you can get things under control and understand what's going on with you. However, holistically, there is an absolute way to deal with anxiety if you trust in that process in a spiritual way. Being self care, that spiritual self care. So I, in my 30s, decided to see a professional provider, and I got on medication for the anxiety that I was suffering. I remember I had, and I think this situation was what brought it to the forefront for me. I was driving in my car one day, and and I don't even know what started it, but I began to have what's known as an anxiety attack. And anybody who suffers from anxiety can indefinitely relate to what that type of an attack looks like. You suddenly can't breathe, you've got chest pains, you think you're having a heart attack, you don't know exactly how to process it. And most of the time, when those things happen to us, we're by ourselves and we're processing that on our own, right? So that can be even more debilitating because you're alone and you absolutely inside of you think you're dying. You think, if I don't get somewhere or get help, I'm going to die. I was driving my car and I just began to suffer from anxiety, and the anxiety got so bad that I couldn't breathe. My chest was hurting. I thought for sure I was having a heart attack. I had to pull off to the side of the road. I called a very close friend at the time, a close friend of mine who was an LPN, and I talked to her about exactly what was happening with me at the time. This was back in, I don't know, I want to say like 2004. And so, gosh, yeah, that's been about 21 years ago. And she, her being a nurse, I felt like when I was talking to her and telling her what I was going through, she was explaining to me, you're having an anxiety attack. She got me to calm down being on the telephone with her enough that I was able to drive myself home. Because I will tell you, the attack that I had was so bad that if I had not had a cell phone and a way to call somebody to assist me at that time, I probably could have parked my car where it was at, gotten out of my vehicle, walked away from it, and been so traumatized from the situation that I probably never would have got behind the wheel of a vehicle again. Even though the driving is not what caused my anxiety that I'm aware of, but the whole situation, it's the whole situation and everything that's going on within the situation that those little pieces make it to where if you do that, you remember back to that negative thing. And so thank goodness she was able to get me calm enough, and I was able to sit in the parking lot of where I was at and talk with her on the telephone and get myself in a much calmer place so that I could drive myself home. And I made an appointment with my doctor, and it was probably the next day I went through another massive anxiety attack, and it lasted all the way into the night. I knew that the pain that I was feeling was from the anxiety that was manifesting, but it still didn't deter me from thinking I was dying from the chest pain and the difficulty breathing and taking deep breaths. And I ended up rushing myself to the ER because I was convinced again, I've got to be having a heart attack. This can't be normal. Where is this coming from? And so I went into the hospital and they hooked me up to an EKG, and they, did heart monitoring on me, and they took blood and, all of that stuff. And it ended up coming back that I wasn't having a heart attack. And they absolutely explained to me there, just like my close friend had, that I was suffering from a anxiety attack was what I was having. And at that point, I knew that I needed some kind of help because no matter what I tried to do, I was not able to get it under control. And I think it culminates from lots of things in our lives that build up to a certain point, and then eventually it just boils over. It's like the pot of water is just boiling over. You have to address it, because if you don't, it's not going to get any better. And at that time, my only answer was to seek professional help from my doctor. And so I got on anxiety medication, and I took anxiety medication faithfully until about seven or 8 months ago. And going through the spiritual journey that I'm going through, I had decided as I was learning pieces, because, it's really great. There's multiple ways that you can have self-care and start to learn how to balance yourself within your own, within your own body slowly, right? There's breath work. You can absolutely learn how to do breath work. You can learn how to do Reiki healings on yourself. You don't have to go through a whole big long training and do it to other people, but you absolutely can learn how to do it to yourself. Learning meditation, whether it is just meditation in sitting in silence with yourself or doing guided. And you can find lots of different guided meditations on places like YouTube and on the internet, where you can listen to somebody helping you walk through that so that you can get yourself in a better place. And journaling is another thing that you can use to relieve anxiety inside of yourself, because when you're writing that stuff down, you're bringing out what's inside of you. And not necessarily do all of us have somebody all the time that we can talk to, or maybe there is somebody we can talk to, but then there's also times that we need to just get it out on our own within ourselves. And maybe journaling is a good thing to do. With breath work, I've learned, which I absolutely love, to do what they call I think it's called like the the 448 or something like that. And what it is you will take a deep breath in through your nose at the count of 4, and you'll hold it for 4, and then you'll breathe out for 8. And you'll count those numbers in your head. So you'll breathe in, hold, out. That's a really good one, and you can go through doing that, I think it's like 4 times or something. You take 4 breaths like that. Or you can do the 5-7 technique, which is breathing in through your nose really deep. And when you exhale, like you're blowing up a balloon or a straw. And doing it again. But you do that for 5 to 7 times. And I've learned that when I remove myself from a situation that seems extremely stressful, and I can feel where that could be a trigger for anxiety, I will remove myself and go into a 5-7 technique or a 4-4-8 technique, and use those 2 different things of breathing, different ways of breathing. It resets your brain pattern and your thinking, and it calms you on the inside. When you concentrate on that breathing and you're thinking only about that breathing, it disconnects you from the anxiety situation, and it resets you back. So it brings you back down so you're centered within yourself. The other thing being the Reiki, you can absolutely take a course of Reiki, which, my business partner and I, we actually have Reiki that we teach. And you don't have to take the full, go all the way through. You can to become an instructor if you want to, but you can absolutely take Reiki 1 and learn how to tap into the energy of the universe, right? And have that energy course through your body. I do a Reiki healing on myself every morning, most of the times before I get out of bed. The last couple of days I haven't. I've been a little bit later after I get up in the morning and I start moving around. I eventually will sit down and I will do a Reiki session. It doesn't even take very long, and I've kind of incorporated now into the Reiki healing when I do it on myself. I also incorporate breathing with it, because for some reason when I put the 2 together, I get more out of it. So each spot on my body, because Reiki has to do with your chakras. It is, your crown chakra, which is at the top of your head, your third eye chakra, which is here, your throat chakra, which is here, your heart chakra here, your sacral chakra, solar plexus chakra here, your sacral chakra here, below your belly button. Your solar is above, your sacral is below. And then your root chakra, which is between your legs or in your vaginal, or, your down there area. That's your root. And you learn in Reiki how to touch each of those chakras and envision and feel the energy from Creator and from Mother Earth and the universe as a white light come into your body. And you can request it to be directed to, let's say you've got aches somewhere, or you've been dealing with a head cold, or you've had an upset stomach, or you've had a very difficult time lately speaking your truth. So you feel like maybe your throat chakra is kind of stuck because you're not, it could be different things. Or like me, when I do my Reiki healing every day, I invite in to let it go wherever is for my greater good. So it could be physically in my body, but could also be other things too that have to do with my life and what path I'm on and where my greater good is at. But I absolutely have noticed that because I do breath work and I do Reiki healing every day, um, physically, I'm not tired anymore. I don't wake up so drained that it feels like I'm crawling. I used to. I used to wake up so drained. And that also had, that could be another topic too, is protecting yourself from other people being able to pull your energy. But being a empath as I am, not only do I take on energy of other people, but there's also people around you that, and I don't like to put out these kind of labels. I'm just using this word to explain it. It's like a vampire. It's somebody who is capable of sucking your energy from you. And there are energetic vampires out there and people's personalities who are completely capable of pulling the energy out of you. And if you don't protect yourself from that, that can be something else that can also aid in anxiety as well, because your energy is being pulled. So, but Reiki healing and breathing are the two things that I use every single day that have extremely helped me on being able to balance anxiety that I used to experience every single day. Another thing too is meditation, really good meditations. I use an app that helps me with my meditations. It guides me through them. I'm a preferred person of guided meditation than just to sit there. Um, I like a guide when I'm going through it. That helps me a lot. It keeps me centered on where I'm supposed to be, and it gives me that voice to listen to. So it's walking me through the meditation. I get a lot more out of that. And then journaling, I have an app that I use for that as well. And I verbally journal, so I speak in there. And the funny thing is there's an AI interaction on it. So if I want to, I can give a voice to it, and I can request feedback, and I can get interaction feedback from the verbal journaling that I'm doing. I like to verbally journal because I feel like when you speak and you use your voice, it's more empowering. Some people like just writing and out journaling because they're putting the words out there, and now the words have a meaning. So either way that you do it is extremely beneficial. You can mix it up too and do a little bit of each, where there might be some days that you're journaling physically, and then other days where you might have an app like I do and you verbalize your journaling. But it's deciding whatever it is within, holistically, that you want to use, that can start, you can learn how to start to regulate yourself and balance yourself. Eventually I realized that I was able to control how I was reacting to things, and that is probably the only thing outside of our thought process. How we react to things and our intention, those are the only things that we're actually in control of in our lives, because everything else is completely out of our control. Excuse me. So learning how to take control of what's going on inside of you and processing that, and getting yourself in a better regulated place within your mind and within your spirit and your emotional state, can bring you to a point that you can decide and talk with your provider, if you're already on medication, as to what it looks like being able to get yourself off of that medication, and to be able to regulate yourself, spiritually, or even if you're not on a spiritual path, just learning how to use breath work or Reiki or meditation and journaling to help you process things that are going on in your life and relieve the anxieties that you are experiencing, right? And so it's all important. Consistency is important. It's, staying on your personalized practice or whatever it is that you choose to do every single day, and staying on that every single day. And sometimes it can be hard to create a routine like that from what we're not used to doing on a regular basis. But I've always said that showing up for yourself and taking care of yourself, you're the only person that will always be there to care for you. And if you don't do it, and you allow yourself to be tapped out and riddled with anxiety because you are not doing self-care, and maybe you're overdoing it and you're giving so much to other people but you're not actually caring for yourself, is, like I've said in a past video, that's like robbing the people around you of your 100% self. When you care for yourself first, you give to your loved ones exponentially more than you do if you're tapped out and you're giving to your friends and loved ones. So it's very, very important to be on at least a journey of self-care. Um, and so I feel like a couple of affirmations that can also help, like first thing in the morning, waking up. Another thing is affirmations that you can say to yourself. You can look in the mirror in the morning and just say, I inhale peace and I exhale worry. And you could say that a few times while you're taking in those breaths. I inhale peace, I exhale worry, I inhale peace, I exhale worry. And do that, set your tone, set your day. Um, that's setting you up very first thing in the morning for knowing that you're going to bring peace into your life and you're going to release worry. Another affirmation that you can say in the mirror every morning is, I choose positivity every day. And repeat that 2 or 3 times if you have to. And I know sometimes it can be very difficult looking yourself in the eye in the mirror. But another thing that you can do too that begins to relieve anxiety, and at first it's going to feel very, very foreign. And at first you're going to be like, oh, I don't know if I like that. But looking yourself in the eye and saying, Anne, I love you. I've had that conversation with several people at different times, and I have indefinitely received from them, oh, that's a hard one. I don't know if I can do that. And it feels weird, right? Because we don't always look at ourselves as how important it is to take care of us. We're so concerned when we're mothers and we're fathers and we're brothers or sisters, or an employee or anything. We think about how, oh, I have to take care of my kids, I have to take care of my wife or my spouse, I have to take care of my home, I have to take care of my children. And we put ourselves out there so much to others that we actually don't realize how important it is for us to not just have self-care, but also have self-love. Because I will say this, when you begin to love yourself, self-care will come naturally. And so, waking up every day, looking yourself in the mirror and saying, I love you, and choosing to inhale peace and exhale worry, choosing to see positivity in every day, doing breath work or Reiki healings, meditation or journaling, whatever it is that you choose, however it is that it feels right with you. And I absolutely can, do a session of just, talking with you on what exactly it is that you might want to try to work on yourself, or what you would like to use to get there. Right. So, that's absolutely something that I can help with. But I would say that, if there's any takeaways from this, take away that you are absolutely worth it. Your self-care is paramount for you to be here for as long as you can for your loved ones and family. Um, know that there are resources, not just myself, but there are videos and different things that you can follow on YouTube and on the internet. I don't believe everything that I read on the internet, but I will say this. Ever since I've been on this journey, when I read something on the internet, I automatically tune into my guides and ask them, does that feel right, or does that, and usually they'll give me what I'm supposed to get out of it, or I will get a no, that's illegitimate, move on to the next thing. But most of the time, when it comes to relieving anxiety, if it comes to breath work, Reiki healing, meditations, journaling, all that different stuff, generally the information that you do gather on the internet can be extremely helpful. You can look up different types of breath work. There's very deep breath work that goes for a long period of time, like shamanic breath work, where you are going through the breathing pattern for 45 minutes to an hour, and it can change up, but it's very, very deep, and it tends to be something that's guided. You need, I would say, until you get thoroughly deep into understanding what something like shamanic breath work is, you would want to make sure that it's guided. And you would want to make sure that anything that you are trying to do as far as breath work might go, that you consult your physician, because they say that it's not, I'm putting this disclaimer out there, it's not good to do really deep breath work like shamanic if you have epilepsy or if you have heart issues or anything like that. There's so many different types of breath work that you can do, the very simple ones that I explained, and that can go for generally anybody. But if you want to get really, really deep into it, a lot of the things that you'll find on the internet, you want to make sure that you do talk with your provider if you have any physical ailments whatsoever that could interfere with you engaging in um, that deeper type of breath work. But so I think I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that. Just to remind everybody that you can please click to subscribe so that you are notified, every time that I post a video, and I've been posting them daily. I have my Facebook page that is also the Easing Spirit, that you can go on there and, make requests to me if there's any type of, healings or even, as you would call it, geez, why is it leaving me? It's totally leaving me. I'm more of a grounded person, and so instead of being psychic in a psychic sense that I tap into that stuff, I'm more ground based and earth based. And for some reason, it's totally leaving my mind as to what they call that, but I'm more on the earthly plane of the things that go on with us within this living existence, and I get messages on that type of stuff. But anything that I can help out with, or any questions that you have, me and my best friend, who her business is called Creative Healings. Her and we have a Sunday spiritual support group that is a practice group. Right now, I think we might be full, but it's definitely something that you can check back in with me, because as people don't participate and they drop off, other openings do come up, and it absolutely is a free group that you can be a part of. It doesn't cost anything. And then we have a new uh, class that we're teaching called Journey to the Soul, and it's based on Sylvia Browne's meditations and teachings and connections to her guides and everything that she knew and learned within her lifetime here on Earth. But anyway, so if there's anything that you're interested in as far as receiving Reiki healings or Reiki training and how to become somebody who's capable of giving it to yourself, or even going higher to a master teacher, if you want oracle readings, or if you just want spiritual coaching and support, I offer lots of different things. So you could definitely message me on my Facebook or contact me here on YouTube. But I would say thank you, everybody, for watching today. I leave you with love and light and namaste.